adjust the blade height here. Got to loosen the cross number. Got 4 just adjusting bracket bolts to loosen. And then I got the this out of the way here. And then these are the adjusting knobs here. I'm gonna put my sandbag on. So I got a digital height cut measuring device here. I measure in millimeters. It's just a more precise way of measuring. So I'm going to go to 9 millimeters. Still got some leftover bent grass on here. So I got it on the back wheel here, and I got it on the front roller here, and lo and behold, it was actually cutting at 2.65. That's great. So I'm gonna turn both these at the same time to get it raised up. Just trying to get it raised up to a point where I'm pretty close. Doing them at the same time just makes it so that it's easier to adjust, because when you adjust one side within the other, it changes a little bit. So all this grass on here. Okay, so that one's at 8. Eight and a half. So I'm just gonna go a little bit more. So we go clockwise to raise it and counterclockwise to lower it on the adjusting knobs up here. And what this tool does here is it's got grass on it. This is the measuring device. You basically hook this up on the blade, and the underside of this is measuring from here to the bottom of this plate here. So this is your cutting height right there. If you can see that, it's at 23. So I put it on here. Again, I got it on the back wheel and the front roller. It's at 8.5. So I'm just going to go ahead and adjust it to 9. That's 9 right on the money. And this one's at 8.75. That one's at 9 on the money. Going to come back and check this one just to make sure we're within the same ballpark, because it does change. Going to lower this a little bit. They're both exactly 9.1 millimeters. So just going to tighten these down a little bit here. That's just kind of the stop holder. I'm going to adjust it, tighten this rod back first, and that's going to hold it in place. I do another check just to make sure we're still. The basic thing I'm really looking for here is I'm just trying to keep it so that it's level on both sides, about the same. They're exactly the same. So that's good. Going to tighten my 4 adjusting bolts. So the only thing that's really holding the only thing that's holding the adjustment is this bar here. There's a bolt, a nut on each side here, and that basically tightens and holds these brackets tight together. So even if this does turn, that's why these only really have to be, hand tight. The 4 bolts on the side, they only have to be, yay tight, just enough to hold them in, because they're not really holding anything. It's just really a slider for the bracket to ride up and down on as you're adjusting it. I mean, tightening it, I'm sure it does, you know, help a little bit, but this is the main, this bar here and these bolt nuts on each side is the main thing that's holding the blade adjustment height. So let me go ahead and move this, put this back on the mower. And that's good. I'm just going to put my drone back up in the air because I record all of my mows. I don't really do much with them, but I just do. Okay. Call that good, and we're going to go ahead and get a mow on. So, I'm starting my mower on the cutting ring. I have the fuel off, and I actually have the fuel line's drained. So, I didn't even have the fuel on when I was trying to start it earlier. I mean, I had it on and I had choke on, but I had no fuel on, so there was no fuel in the line. And then, of course, once I turn the fuel on, it's going to take a couple of cranks to get some fuel in the line, you know, before it starts. So, I mean, this thing starts pretty much on one crank if you got everything dialed in, fuel in, and all that kind of stuff. So, I'm going to go ahead and get this going. So yeah, sorry it's so dark out, or getting dark. You know, it's been raining a lot, and because of the rain, it's been really wet. It's a lot harder to take care of mowing. So my turnaround spots in my grass right here. These light green patches of grass is not POA. It's actually bent grass. And the bent grass gets into this Kentucky bluegrass because of mowing. So that's what gets in there. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go ahead and put this on my Ryobi. Adjust it. And I'm just going to go ahead and finish up. I mean, I know it's dark and everything. Set that right here. I'm going to land my drone. So I'm just going to put my edger attachment on real quick. It's going to take me just 3 minutes to do a quick edge on this thing. So, you know, the biggest thing or tip I have about low mowing, you know, low mowing gives you and real mowing gives you the best cut grass. I mean, by far. You're never going to get a look like this with a rotary mower. But the biggest issue, especially this time of year, is worm castings. So I have a few videos that I've done about worm castings, and tea-seed meal, TEA, tea-seed meal is what I use. I use a lot of it. I don't have any worms right now. In the backyard I do. So there's my line. Get a nice good edge on it. So this is why I like the Ryobi right here. So I hope my connection's good over here, but so I want to talk about this right here real quick. See if I can get you a better view. So this is my leaf area. I got one tree and it's right here, and it just shed all its leaves. So this is a big problem. I'm not going to worst nightmare them into your lawn. If you're a low mower, it's going to bring worms. And again, when you're height 3 millimeters, when you're mowing that low, worms are not, the castings create some videos on how you can take care of that. I use a dew whip. Dew whip is just basically a big long fiberglass pole, very thin, and you wash your lawn, and it knocks down all the worm castings. And that, in conjunction with tea-seed meal being my main way of just basically killing worms. You know, I know everybody loves worms. I don't love worms. I don't want them. And I am actively going after worms this time of year, because this is when they come out with the rain and the wet and everything like that. So this is their time of year. So I'm going to do a quick So yeah, I clean the street. I try to keep everything out of my yard, but I basically just blow all this into my side yard over there underneath my van. I know it's getting really dark. So this is my neighbor Wilson's yard. I redid this lawn right here in the spring. He had a big grub and moss problem, and I just mowed it for him. I try to help my friend Wilson out as much as possible. He's a hard-working guy, young guy with a family. So that's how Wilson's yard's looking. So for below mowing, I mean, I recommend it if you want to get into that and have, you know, just a nice looking lawn. I'm not out here trying to have the best lawn. I'm just out here trying to have the lawn I've always wanted. And yeah, it gets dark out here real fast. Western Washington. I mean, it's what, 4:30 right now, and the sun's almost set. Sun sets this way. I tried to get out here before the rain. I think it's supposed to rain tomorrow. That's why I wanted to get this done today. And you know what, if it doesn't rain tomorrow, I'll be right back out here with my mower mowing this putting green. I'm really just trying to get this back into shape. I mean, I'm really sad about how bad it looks right now. This is, like I said, the worst it's looked basically since I started it. I've had this putting green for 3 years, and I started cutting it at 2 millimeters before I did the basic makeover on it. You know, just stuff you got to do to a putting green. You know, you got to sand it and do all that stuff to it. And so when I redid it, I don't think I got the seed very well down, especially on these edges here. I've been trying to work on this spot right here. This spot is my biggest problem area ever since I did my reno. So this right here, this area, this used to all be flower bed planter, you know, with basically these bushes that are over here. They used to be over here. I just moved them. This used to always, this was Kentucky bluegrass when I first did it, all right here, but what I did is I took it out and I extended the putting green, and that was my biggest mistake. I basically, ever since I did that, I ruined my putting green, I ruined my Kentucky bluegrass over here. I've never had it back to where it was. I wish I would have just left it alone because it was looking great. And now ever since, this whole area, this strip, all the way down here, all the way across here, and all in this area here, has been driving me nuts. So when I pulled that Kentucky bluegrass out, when I did the renovation, this is where I put it. And when I put it in here, it was a big sod nightmare. It was all little pieces, little chunks, little sections, and right now it's pretty level. You know, it wasn't like this. It took me a while to get it level and filled in, but that's just a good example of how just sanding and leveling, you know, grass will fill in and will, you know, grow back. You know, I've, you know, leveled it and seeded it and all that stuff, and I'm constantly adding seed to it. See if I can get down on the grass here for you. So this is the Pencross bent grass. And you can see how much it grows. Look at the cup, it's just like totally inundated with grass all the way around it. And then this is cut low. And then here's some Kentucky bluegrass. Now normally when I do this, I mow it both ways, you know, twice a month, you know, crisscross. You know, I mostly just mow it up and down, but I mow it twice usually. I only mowed it once today. And I only use nitrogen. I'm, you know, a firm believer in nitrogen is the key ingredient to your lawn. Nitrogen and iron. That's all I put on it. I don't put any humic. I don't put anything. And my lawn is actually looking the best it is. You know, when I started listening to the YouTube channels and I started putting all that crap that they were telling me to put on my lawn, it looked worse than it does now. You know, this is a pretty good, you know, I can see on the screen here, this is, It actually is a more deep green than what you see on the screen here, at least what I'm seeing on the screen. And like I say, I'm using urea nitrogen, and I use heptahydrate iron sulfate, and I put it on once a month at about a quarter to a half, maybe a third of a pound once a month, and that's it. You don't need all that other stuff, you know. And this is why I do this on my channel, on my videos, to show people, you know, how you can really make your grass look green. I mean, you know, I'm not going to name any names, but there are people out there that tell you have to buy all this stuff, you know, the triple 13 and the phosphorus, the potassium, and humic acid, sea kelp, all these things that they tell you that you need to put in your lawn, and it's just a waste of money. God, it's a waste of money. And the things that they don't tell you, or maybe they don't even know, is that, you know, when you're adding all these products into your lawn, they're not doing anything for your lawn. The things that are doing things for your lawn is the nitrogen, iron, manganese, and sulfur. Those 4 things are what make your grass green. Nothing else does it. And this whole hype about winterizing with potassium and stress with potassium is just that. It's hype. It's all garbage. You don't need to do that. If potassium's in your lawn, it's in your soil, you know, it's going to do its job. It's going to do what it needs to do. Adding more isn't going to make your grass do anything different. Isn't going to add more roots. Isn't going to do anything for turf damage. Isn't going to do anything for heat stress. Isn't going to do anything for winterization. It doesn't. If it's already there, it's there. If you're deficient in potassium, put it in. Phosphorus, same thing. If you're adding a bunch of phosphorus, it's not doing anything. It's not doing anything. You know, if it's already in your soil, it's all you need. By adding more phosphorus, thinking you're getting more root development and all that kind of out of it, you're not. Because phosphorus is taken up based on nitrogen. And you can believe me or not on it. You know, personally, I don't really care. You know, the science is the science. And science says nitrogen drives phosphorus and potassium. Doesn't matter how much you put in it. Unless you're deficient in either one of those, shouldn't be adding it. Anyways, that's my mow for today. It's getting dark. It's my putting green. Looking like crap, but it'll come back around. I'm kind of thinking of actually just yanking it out next season. I don't know. I have a long winter to think about it, and I'm pretty sure by the end of the winter I'll be dead set on pulling it and just redoing my whole putting green. I just have a feeling that's what's going to happen. So anyways, if you've watched this far, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Hope maybe you got a few key things out of this. And, you know, biggest thing I think is my Ryobi. It's the greatest tool I have. I have so many attachments for it. It's so useful. It's so quick to change from one to the other. I mean, I have the weed whacker attachment. I can come back through here and I can clean up these edges along here, but you know, I'm just not gonna. I really don't care. I'm more about the edges and stuff like that.